And I think an important point here is like a lot of people use the word repeatable and scalable as synonyms. They are not. They are very different steps. You find repeatability and then you scale. If you scale
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Unlocking Growth Show, the podcast where we help businesses unlock the next level of growth. I'm your host, Gary, CEO and co-founder of Whale. All right, with me, Amos. Amos, you wrote the playbook on levers, the framework for building repeatability into your business. If you had 60 seconds on the clock to explain what this is about, what would that sound like?
Yeah, I'll try to do it in 30. So it is a series of frameworks that make up of one big framework that will help a CEO, a founder, an entrepreneur, or even a more mature business person to look at their business and be able to pull out the things that will help them identify what are the real levers so that they control the dials of repeatability so that they can scale using data, not instincts. Yeah.
Perfect. Very short and to the point.
Yeah.
I like that. So you already put that into my second question, but who did you originally intend to help with this playbook, with this book? And people who still want to read it, well, what can they expect from an impact side of things?
Yeah, I'll take more than 60 seconds for this one, maybe like 2-3 minutes. I have a fundamental belief, and I talk about this in the book, that while every business wants to reach the broadest audience that they can eventually, it is really important to start with a really narrow and specific focus. And so broadly, I will talk about in a second who I think we impact or who we can impact. We wrote the book for founders that are pre-Series B. Okay. And really pre-Series A, even you could say. So earlier stage founders, the target, if I wrote it down, would be someone who has a business that's up and running and there is a little bit of things happening, but I wouldn't call it momentum. I would say they have a lack of understanding of repeatability. They want to learn what that is. Okay. Now, that is who we wrote it for. Those are the words we tried to write them for them. But really, the impact is broader. So we've worked with companies who are earlier stage, who are just figuring out, I have this idea, how do I turn it into something? And we've worked with companies that are doing 50 million in revenue, but they don't understand aspects of what they're doing. They're flat. How do we grow? How do we not shrink? So that the frameworks work, but we wrote it specifically for that earlier stage, really right pre-Series A to right pre-Series B stage is like the sweet spot. And the impact of the book, the impact is very similar across, which is we run these businesses, and more today than ever, there's so much information and data, and it's in just society, it's really easy to get distracted by a shiny thing or a belief, or if you have just the slightest bit of insecurity or lack of doubt in something. So what the book is designed to do is to help one really get focused on what matters, but not just from instinct. Like, why do I believe something matters? What is the data that I can collect? And the most important part of it is, once you do all that, to then build a plan based on the information you have and the information you don't have that you still need to get, so that you can find the levers in your business to become repeatable. And I think an important point here is like a lot of people use the word repeatable and scalable as synonyms. They are not. They are very different steps. You find repeatability and then you scale. If you scale before you have repeatability, you will inevitably scale the wrong things and break and likely fail. But if you understand what's repeatable, then you know what you can scale and how to scale it, both from an operational and a cost-efficient way.
That's awesome. We spoke just a little bit earlier before hitting record, and the similarity with what we're doing, obviously. And we're kind of in this zone after businesses have figured out what you teach in your book, right? Like, you need to find that repeatability before obviously building your playbooks, sharing that with your team, and then go on that scaling momentum. I like that this is out there for businesses still finding that sweet spot to hitting momentum. I wish that for us, a playbook is something that gives direction, something that helps people take action. I know you've got 6 things for us today that whoever is listening can utilize to really go and work on finding these levers. What are those 6 things, and what are some of the practical steps that they can take away?
Yeah, I love the question. And let me start it with this. If we have a lot of reviews on Amazon and they're really, really high rated reviews. And one of the constant themes in the reviews are, this is a book you do, not a book you read. Because of exactly that, I bring it up for exactly the question you said. So like someone could pick up the book and probably read it in an hour or 15 minutes. It's not a long read, but you don't get any, you'll say, okay, now I understand what I have to do. But what you're really doing, and now I'll get into the 6 things, is you're going chapter by chapter. And what we have created is a step by step, go do this. So when you actually go do the work, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. You're trying to build a business. It's a lot of work. So the book is a 5-chapter book, and we talk about it as a 5-step process. There are 6 things. When we wrote the book, we made a decision, the 6th thing, which comes first, we put in the appendix in the rear, because it's the only thing that's not data driven. Okay. It's the only thing that's from your heart, but it actually all starts with that. So when we write about it, even though it's in the appendix, we say, if you don't have this, go back to the beginning and do this first. So the first thing is, as a founder, as a CEO, as an entrepreneur, wherever you are in your journey, you have a mission and your vision in your head. That's fine. But if you're not out there talking about it, if your staff doesn't know it, if your customers don't know it, if your investors don't know it, then it is impossible to get everyone aligned for all of the rest of the work. And everything else, like, you may be directionally like in the right direction, but no one's actually going in the same direction, because no one knows where you're going. So getting that articulated vision and mission out there, they don't have to be eloquent. I'm not talking about the perfect words. I'm talking about something that will describe. So you and I know we're both headed to California. We're both headed to LA. We're both headed to Disney. We're not just going swirling in circles, going somewhere west. Okay. Starts with mission, vision. The second thing is,